The champ is here indeed. One of my best friends, Tyron Morris Edwards, is on the line. He played at Alta, he played at the University of Utah, and he played at Weber State. And what makes him great, great, great is that he didn't have dreams of being a safety. He wanted to be a receiver like many of you guys that will be safeties at the next level. And he found the darkness. He didn't quite find the light because he went to the defensive side of the ball and he did everything in his power. But Tyron, I need to understand, what does it take to be a great safety, and what's it like switching from wide receiver to the dark side of the ball?
Um, First of all, I want to say I should have switched to safety a long time ago. I waited till college to do so. But I think the great what it takes to be a great safety is patience, technique, and focusing on your fundamentals and making sure your fundamentals are down packed. And that takes time, obviously, especially with me switching from receiver to safety. It took a lot of time and effort, obviously, from going forward, moving forward as a receiver, from constantly moving backwards. So technique is huge, and yeah, and then my life as a receiver was great. Obviously, it transitioned over to the DB side of things, safety side of things. I still had great hands and everything like that. So yeah, my transition was smooth actually. To be honest with you, I didn't expect it to be as smooth transition as it did. I transitioned pretty quickly when I did transition into safety in college, but that took a lot of practice, effort, and being fundamentally sound as well. So
What I've noticed is a lot of kids when they come out of high school, they're like, "Oh, I played this in high school, so I'll obviously played this in college." You saw a lot of guys at the U that went in as running backs or quarterbacks and ended up as safety or cornerbacks because of the skill set that they had. You had a unique skill set coming out of high school. How were you able to develop that and maximize your skill set going into the next level?
yeah, I mean, like I said, the fundamentally part, not forgetting everything I know on receiver. I mean, it made it easier for me to read a receiver because I played it in high school, and then transitioning over to safety, able to read the receiver, know what routes are running, knowing their technique, and transitioning that into the safety position was a huge benefit on my behalf. I would say from playing safety. And then another thing I'll say is probably 60% of the time people go in to college thinking they're going to play that same position, usually transition to another position. Um, it actually works out for a lot of people as well. Worked out for me, um, and I would say don't go into college thinking that that position that you're playing is going to be your only position. Yeah, it can be. I'm not trying to say it won't be, but a lot of times people, I mean, coaches know a player and their athletic ability more than sometimes the players even know what they're capable of doing. So just go into the mindset, if you are a high school athlete, go into the mindset of you can play multiple positions. And if you get transition, own it and realize you utilize that skill position that you're at and transition that into the new skill position and utilize that as a weapon because you already know where you're going up against because you played that position pretty much your whole life or throughout your whole high school career. So
Mm. I love that because I'd recruit kids all the time that were tight ends and I'd move them to tackle, or D ends and I'd move them to tackle, or I'd recruit wide receivers and I'd move them to safety, or quarterbacks. You look at Britton Covey. He was a quarterback coming out of high school. He never lost a game starting at quarterback, but he gets to the University of Utah and they're like, you're not a quarterback, buddy. You're going to be a receiver for
yeah,
us. And it's like, great. Or Kai
yeah,
Nakua, Puka Nakua's older brother. He was playing quarterback in high school and he ended up at safety. Or Micah Simons, who ended up in the league, that played quarterback in high school and he played wide receiver. A lot of these high school coaches, they look at who their best athletes are, how they can get the ball in their hands. Because we went to the same school. I know that the coaches were looking at me as one of the best athletes, but you may have been a little bit better. And so they tried to get the ball in your hand a little bit more than mine. So with that, you also had a unique high school, little league, and college career where you switched teams a multitude of times, going from Jordan to Bingham to Alta to Utah to Weber State. What do you suggest to kids that do have to switch teams for any reason? And how do they succeed at their new environment?
I'll just say this: I just got ahead of the curveball of what's going on nowadays. I mean, transition portal is crazy right now. I just got ahead of it. I did it when I was younger, but I would just say, um, you know, I switched different schools and different high schools because of me moving, like in different areas. But just had that mindset of adapting. I mean, I took it as like the more schools I moved to, the more coaching I got, and the
Mm,
better player I became because I got that coaching ability and got it and picked all the brains from those different coaches, different schools, and how they do things. And I took that with me every school that I went to. So I would just say had that mindset of like obviously if you're a high school ball player and you want to like going to college, you want to, and that's your college, stick it out. I mean, I'm a love or hate when it comes to the transfer portal because it used to be like you stick it out till your time is up. You learn from the people ahead of you. That way you can get better and you can learn from the greats ahead of you.
mm.
Instead, now people are like, "Oh, I'm not playing, I'm out of here." Like I said, there's pros and cons to that. If you know, like me, I left University of Utah because I wanted more playing experience. It's my last year. One of my favorite coaches of all time, Coach Hill, defensive back coach up at BYU, he recruited me out of Alta High School, and he put a plug in my ear and was like, "Hey, I know you want more playing time. Your last year, you're kind of in a rotational situation. Get you up here. My first year, Weaver, you can help me be the face of this football team." And that's what I did. I mean, I played with Coach Hill. I had some injuries that kind of held me back, but all in all, like it was a great experience. So what I'm trying to say is take every single situation you go into and analyze it for yourself and make sure it's the right situation for you and make the best out of it. Make the best out of every situation. So that's what I kind of took out of every spot that I was in, all the way back from Pop Warner all the way up until my college career. So
I think that's super sage advice when you're talking to kids. I love that you said stick it out because you walked away from the University of Utah with a degree in hand, where a lot of these kids
yeah,
are walking out of college without a degree, without a future plan, and that becomes a major crutch on life for them. And you did a lot of good things, and I love that you stuck it out with Jay Hill. He was my position coach at Utah as well, and he directly directly affected my life in so many ways, even though I was only there
absolutely.
for a short time. And he made the right choice when he was calling you up. I was like, Coach Hill, I need to go somewhere. He's like, not here, sucker. But
Yeah.
great dude, great human being. And I love that you had the opportunity to go and play, even though it didn't quite work out. So, another thing I want to ask you about is how has football affected your life and how is life after football for you?
Oh, football's affected my life in a very, very positive way. Um, Life after football was a little bit of a struggle. Let me talk about how it affected me in a positive way first. It helped me to face adversity, fight through things, because that's what you have to do in football, especially in college. You got practice every day, you got school, you're juggling a bunch of different things. So that's what life brings you after football. You're going to be juggling work, family, friends. I mean, it helps you be able to adapt to those things after life, to where you can be able to handle that stress and that pressure. So that's why I feel like football has taught me in life after football. Um, and then the grind, like always working hard, the work ethic that you have to bring when it comes to football and in school, that mindset. And going back to what you said earlier, that degree. I mean, Coach Witt, when I was up there for our 4 years, that was his number one thing. Football was the second, always. You're there to play football, yeah, but his number one thing was always get your degree, go to school, because that's going to stick with you for life, for the lifetime of your life. Um, Football is not. Football ends at some point. So that's what I would say to all the high school people going to your college career, school first, football second. But obviously, if you want to go to the next level, 1A, 1B, if that's your mindset. 1A could be school, 1B could be football, but always have school at the top of your list. Um, and then life after football, I would say, was a huge transition because um, it's hard to handle your emotions on your own.
Mm,
And I say that because when football, you're emotional. Um, yeah, you're young, you know what I mean, but you're emotional. You can go on the football field. You can go and just hit somebody, get that stress, get that frustration out. You know what I mean? In life, you can't do that. You hit somebody, you go to jail. so, so I mean, like that was the hardest transition is dealing with those emotions after not having football to relieve that emotional stress was a huge transition. So find a way to a positive way to get those emotions under control. Mine was the gym. I
mm.
work out every single day. That's my stress reliever. Some people, do other things outside of football, like I don't know, draw things that's gonna calm your mind, make you at peace. Find that because football is not there anymore, and it's very. I mean, when I was done and I called quits after my football career, just going to those games after I called it quits, going to the football games, college games, Utah games, it was very emotional. I'm like, dang, like, do I really want to call it quits? Just watching my boys still out there, people I knew still out there balling. Like, it was very emotional. But at the end of the day, I knew like mentally and like physically, my body, I was ready to move on. But I had to transition that mentality and kind of get that under control. Like I said, the gym. I play basketball now with some of my close friends I've had for a long time, every Saturday. So just finding those ways of transitioning that football emotion into something positive outside of that.
I think that's really cool. And I like that you chose the gym because if you guys look at Tyron, he looks a lot better now than he ever played. And I get quite
I feel a lot
perplexed
better now too.
because I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, we're about the same age. We've been out the same time. And Tyron is looking so much better than me. I think I need to do stress relieving in the gym at this point because I looked at food and I'm like, man, maybe I'll be on Food Network or something like that. And that was the wrong
Everyone has their
choice.
thing. Food can be your stress reliever too.
No, it's a bad stress reliever. But I've seen a lot of my old teammates get into like Krav Maga and Tai Chi and
Yeah,
different wrestling and different
yeah,
things like that because it's interesting because one day you're there, you're hitting someone, you're standing over them, going, giving them the Ric Flair woo. And then the next day you're just like, okay, well, that's a part of my life that chapter's over. And a lot of guys have trouble leaving it. I mean, I know that I didn't just because I'm a psycho and I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I need a
yeah,
break. And then I went right into
yeah,
coaching, which kind of helped it out. So, with
yeah.
football, with life, what lessons do you apply from football into your everyday life nowadays? Because you've got two beautiful daughters, you've got a wonderful wife, you work real hard. What have you taken from the gridiron to the workday to your regular life?
The grind, uh, the grind of football is transitioning into my life and what I do for work and providing for my family. That mindset, that mentality. I mean, that's why I'm in sales, and I feel like sales is a huge transition to football for me because you have your schedule that's set, or that you set, whatever sales path you want to take, and you're grinding. You're interacting with people. You're chasing a number. I feel like in football, you're chasing to beat the other opponent. So in sales, you have competition. So me and my competitive instinct, like that's a huge transition to me and what I do on a day-to-day basis is I compete every single day, trying to hit my number, competing against other people, you know, uh, uh, competing against other people on my team in a respectful way, but also people who are going against outside of my company, competing in that way. So competitiveness, hard working, and the grind, I would say, is what transitions into my day-to-day life as well.
I love it. Now I've got you imagine as almost like a Terry Tate office linebacker out there going around the office just dominating. So, Ty,
Yeah.
let's end this off. I always like to look at coaches. I like to look at guys that have impacted your life. Who in your life,
Mm.
what coach has impacted you the most? What did they do and why?
Three coaches for me. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, Coach Hill,
Hmm?
because he gave me opportunity. He provided me a scholarship to go to school. Number one, like I always mentioned, get my degree. Um, and then he also helped me become a man. Seriously, he would have talks with me outside of football after practice, check up on me. Um, he's just a great dude. You know what I mean? Even though he went to the dark side, went to BYU, he's still a good dude. Uh, but Coach Hill is my huge influence and helped me and provided me an opportunity and blessed me with the scholarship. Number two, obviously my position coach, Coach Scally, because he was in my tail all the time, helping me to transition into safety. Even though he yelled at me sometimes, I'm just kidding. Even though he was hard on me, but it made me become a better person. I don't want somebody that's gonna, coddle me and treat me kind of soft. You know what I mean? I need that push, and that's what he provided for me. And he also taught me to be strong outside of football. When anybody in the safety group, we were slacking, get below a B. I mean, get below a B. Like, C's to get degrees, they always say, but not with Coach Scally. If you got below a B, he was on your head. So, I mean, he helped me to, put my priorities in line, which was school, football, life. You know what I mean? So Coach Scally, and then the third one is I call him Uncle Shaw, Coach Shaw. So they all were my coaches up at the U. But Coach Shaw, I've known Coach Shaw since I was young. That's why I call him Uncle Shaw. He actually knows my dad as well from when I was little. So he had a huge. And I mean, anybody that knows Coach Shaw knows that he's a very motivating person, and is going to help you in life no matter what, and he'll have your back hands down no matter what you're going through, and he'll drop anything and everything he's doing just to make sure people that he loves succeeds. And yeah, those are the three I would say that influenced me in my life and in my football career.
Yeah, I love all three of those coaches too. I mean, without Coach Hill, I never would have gone on a mission. And without Scally is just a character to me. I love that dude. And Sharif was the first coach ever that recognized me because he coached my little brother first in Little League. And he's like,
Yeah.
Mitch Bingham's brother, how you doing, sir? And he came and gave me a double-handed handshake. And I'm like, who are you? And I'm like, the more I learn about these guys, like Sharif, I'm like, all right, so you're Muslim in Utah. That's a trip. You were first round projected draft pick, then broke your neck. And then
Yeah.
you were a lawyer and had your own law firm, and you threw that all away to come coach DBs at the University of Utah. And I'm like, you're the most
Yeah.
perplexing and most interesting individual I've ever met because he really loves the kids. And so
Yeah. He
does
does.
Coach Hill, so does Scally. And it's just so cool to see these guys that impacted a whole generation of men now that are teaching the lessons
Hmm.
to our kids and to those around us that they taught us. And I think being a coach is just so valuable. So, Ty, thanks so much for hopping on. I know it's a sales day. I know you're getting after it and you chase numbers on the field, but now you're chasing numbers on the spreadsheets. You're getting it all done. You're the freaking man. I appreciate you coming on, Ty.
Appreciate you, Moose, for having me, man.
Nope.
Safety pride all day.
Safety pride, kicker pride, whatever pride you guys got, keep on being prideful.
No kicker. It's okay.
Hey, someone's got to kick the PAT at the end of the day. As long as we're ending a series with the foot hitting that leather ball, we're going to be all right. Well, Ty, freaking love
Absolutely.
you. Hopefully, I can see you
Love you,
playing
Moose.
basketball soon. And this is Ms. Moose Bingham, you guys. We'll be back next week. I'll let you know what position group we're doing next week. It's probably going to be wide receiver, Tyron's original position, and we'll be having a blast. But this is Moose Bingham on the Utah Preps Podcast.